I love a whodunit murder mystery. Oh, I just love it. It's just the idea of it could potentially be anything, could potentially be anyone. Um, like example, it would be like, let's say Knives Out. You know that movie? It's a pretty good movie. It's not that bad. Not that bad. I haven't seen a lot of it, but I've seen some of it, and it's pretty good. Pretty good. I saw a lot. Can't wait to watch the whole of it. It's pretty good. But I just like whodunit movies as a whole because it copies the fluid moments. You see, it's more. I know it's sometimes cliche. Some of them are cliche, and that's what I hate about those ones. Those ones that are cliche, too cliche, I would hate. But when when it's done right, when those cliche moves are done right and done better than the others, it's funny. It's good. Like, oh, the butler, oh, it's just a murder. Like, that's in media. That's in media. But ever since then, now it's just now. It's never going to be the butler. It's never going to be it. There's sometimes it is the butler sometimes, but it's a surprise. You'll never know because each movie is a different experience. Each movie of a whodunit is a different ending, different outcome. Because I've seen a whodunit movie where the murderer gets away with it, the murderer gets sentenced away, murder or like the butler did it, like all this stuff. That's the reason why I love these whodunit movies. Is because that they do something different than what they did before, and they try to determine logic and realistic intentions. Let's just say, in a fancy way. Um, I just love them. Like ever since I read the Sherlock Holmes books and I the read all these investigation movies and video games and all that stuff. I kind of grew into it because it's very interesting to me because like it's really good. Like not knowing on who it is and what it is drives on me, and I just love it. I just love to see a different point, and I love to see a different ending than just being, oh, the villains lose, the heroes win, like that stuff. No, it's actually completely random. Like the murderer can get away with it, the murderer can get away with it, or the murderer can't get away with it, and we get a confession, and it works so beautifully. The music, everything is working pristine, great, and it's great. But I wouldn't call it a masterpiece. Now, I wouldn't call every single whodunit movie and game a masterpiece, and I would give it 5 stars. No, I'll give it like 4.5 at that point because you see, it's really good. Like, but it's not that good. You know what I mean? I wouldn't watch it over and over again because that's what who done. That's the only thing I hate about who done it movies and all that stuff, and every single other movie concepts is that they're one trip pony. So you already know who the murderer is, but every time you watch a different who done a movie or who done a book, who done a media, you get a different experience. So you keep getting the same, like you can't get the same motivation and experience, same experience but different person who's killing, and I love that. But the problem with that is that I can't, that no one can actually do that. Every time when an action movie or anything tries to, you know, um, try to be unpredictable and try to be different than others, it's not. It's always going to be predictable. Like, the villains lose, the heroes win, the heroes lock up the villains, and that's it. But with whodunnit, there's a life on the line, and there's also some danger. Villains just kill one person, kill like 50 people, and that's not really that impactful. Like, John Wick can kill 1,000,000 men, and they will not be as iconic as whodunit movies and films. That's the aspects of murder in movies. Is that if you kill too many people, if you kill lots of people, they're not going to be well known. They're not going to be impactful to the audience. If you kill like one person that is very famous, very like let's say you killed, let's say you just like let's say in a mansion a rich guy and you knew this rich guy, like we all knew, like we all know his backstory. Then suddenly out of the blue gets shot, and that's impactful because we know who it is and we kind of grew with him as a character, and he got shot already, and we have to know who killed him. That's the aspects of a whodunit game, a whodunit movie, or video game, or anything. You don't know who it is. So you know all these characters, and one of them gets shot, or one of them gets killed, and you don't know who it will be, because you'll never know who it will be. You'll say, oh, it's the master of the house. Nope. A lot of whodunit games and whodunit movies actually stem other people. I've seen a whodunit movie where the butler actually died first, and the master of the house was like, "What?" was like, "Who killed him?" And then the master died. Like the master of the house died. But usually, yeah, they do go for that master of the house because they're usually in the will, and they usually have a will, but they're never always to kill the first to die. And sometimes I do see the master of the house kill all the people, just invite them to kill them. Like Clue example. Clue was just basically where this master of the place just killed everyone, tried to kill everyone, and then when they all thought he was dead, no, another person was just replacing him, I think. I don't know. I don't watch Clue. But I know it's the master of the house that murdered him. That he was the murderer. And yeah, that's just it. It's just like, it's so interesting to me because the randomness and all the things collide with such a beautiful concept and with such a rememberable way to do it. But the problem with these movies, these whodunit movies, TV shows, and games, is that there's not too much of them. Now, I haven't seen a lot of whodunit movies or games and all that stuff. You don't. Now, I'm not counting Among Us or Cluedo and all that stuff. I'm not counting multiplayer games. I'm counting single player games. I'm like saying, you're doing it yourself. No one else is there to help you. Only yourself and your mind only. Like the Invisible Hour, like I played there, I had to figure it by myself, and I already know who the killer is. I know who the killer is. I already know. I've completed it all. I completed the whole story, and I know who it is, but you had to figure out for yourself. That's the fun of it. You have to figure out. I know who it is, but I'll just give you a hint. It's not who you think it is. It's not. It's it's all about who you know it is. And knowing spoils the surprise. that literally gives no advice. It gives like nothing. But anyway, but yeah, like kind of like that stuff. I wish there was a game. Here's an idea for your PlayStation VR or Oculus VR. Have a single player detective mode, right? I call it. Let's say Sherlock Holmes VR, right? Let's just say that. Let's say if you got the rights or license for Sherlock Holmes, which would be very easy. Sherlock Holmes is pretty. I say he's like public domain, isn't he? I say he is, yeah. So it'd be probably easy for to license a game from Sherlock VR or crime investigation VR or something like that. Something in VR. So you're physically looking. So there's a crouch button, right? You press the crouch button. You have to fully inspect the bodies. Like in LA Noire, you had to fully inspect those bodies. So kind of like that. You had to inspect those bodies, and there would be a bulletin board beside you at all times, and you can pin when and how these events collide. And once you're done with them, you can think to yourself in your head who it is. If you look up, if you look up a walkthrough, that like it doesn't do anything because if you do the same thing as the walkthrough, you could be wrong because you see, let's say for example, Tom was the murderer. Let's just say Tom was the murderer, and the walkthrough guy thought it was Tom as well because someone else thinks it's Tom or someone else. You know what I mean? It's only you think of the placements and you accuse the person. There's no walkthrough. There is no past because anyone you accuse will go to prison, and if there's no game over screen. There's no game over screen. You'll just have to accept the consequences of your actions. And if you let's say if you accuse Tom and he was innocent, it will bring him to jail, right? And he was still innocent, right? That murderer that was there will keep going. No, will not even keep going. He'll get away. But at the end, you'll see your mistakes, and you'll see that it's the actual all the murderers you've missed, and they kill you or something like that, and you get a different ending, you get a different atmosphere, and you get a different kind of way. And even if you go back and figure out who the murderer is, even if you go back and say, oh look, like even if you done the ending and saw who killed you, and go back and accuse that person, it's different. It's different every time. Every time it's generally different. It's like plasmophobia. The 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 crime scenes, the wounds, the cross examinations are always different. They're always different, like plasmophobia, and it could be hard for you. But that's the best thing about whodunnit is that you don't know who it is. Big brain. But I would love that. I would love to see that as a game. The only thing we got was Assassin's Creed Syndicate, Dreadful Crimes. That was the only good one that I can find that you can actually you have to use your brain because and Invisible Hour as well. You have to use your brain as well to think of who did it, and that's the only two games I can think of. Not Among Us. I'm not counting Among Us or multiplayer games like Murder, Mafia, and all that stuff. You know what I mean? One person's the murderer, and the other players are innocent. Yeah, no, no. It's you. You are the only person that drives this. It's a good idea, isn't it? But no, no. PS4 like, oh, good ideas. Ugh, ugh. That's toxic. Toxic for my skin. And also for Xbox as well. So no, Xbox does old-fashioned games like there, like that, like the 49th edition of Halo and the next edition of Red. No, not Red Dead Redemption. What's Halo Class? Of Fable 4. That's the only two games I know of from fucking Xbox. But that's it. I just love whodunit movies, and I don't care if anyone disagrees. I have an opinion, so I like them. If you don't like them, that's okay with me.